You're not going to bully me into thinking that a man should be wearing a dress. Why would I care about little commentators calling me homophobic or self-hating black person? I'm not any of those things. I'm anti-stupid. And there's a lot of stupidity going on right now.
I honestly want you to be pregnant again just so I can see you debate.
When your home is in order, you have everything.
You feel safe.
Yeah, you stood on your business, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when I lost respect for Jay-Z and gained more respect for Kanye.
What do your prayers look like with you and God?
Well, yeah, that is a very personal question.
If I got killed for speaking up for what I believe in, just know we're in heaven, we're celebrating.
As a Christian, it bothers me that I allow the school system to inform my perspectives, to not care about human beings.
That's so powerful. I just want to take a second to say I absolutely agree with you.
I'm just playing, I don't fight, I do pray. I only go the way of Mr. Yahweh.
It's not often I sit down with somebody and they say something that makes me think. Bro, this was great.
I love you guys.
But you give me something to think about.
My own damn way.
I had a lot of fun on this interview.
I'm excited.
I am too. Thanks for coming down, by the way.
Oh, thanks for
so
having
sweet.
us.
Yeah.
And your whole team was unbelievable. I was like, they wanted us to shoot with your spot, and I was like, no, I want to shoot on mine. I feel like it would be too much like your show, and I felt like it would be too home court advantage. You would interview us, and dude, they just blinked, and then like everything was set up here, and I was like, oh my God.
That. With the home court advantage.
But thank you so much for coming on. We're so thrilled.
Yeah, I haven't done this, I think, had anyone on my set since I did the Nelk Boys podcast. Oh. So this is the first time we've done this again. I love that.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Well, I hope you enjoy just as much. You remind me a lot of Andrew Tate. So when I did the interview with him, he said something that stuck with me forever. Now I can't unsee it. He says, in the eyes of God, you're either going to be a number or a name. And that's how war is. In war, you're either a number, like you're a soldier, or you're a name, like you stand out. Like you did something, even if they killed you, you still stood out and they know who you are. And watching your timeline, I've realized this about you. Regardless of where your heart is, you will be at the front center ready to fight for it. I want to take the time to learn from your POV, because in this podcast, we do help people see from our point of views. And sometimes it gets scary because you learn. So like, have you ever just like been so certain on a thing and then like a 180 and now you have to fight the people that had your viewpoints before?
Well, I mean, my story in politics is that I was a liberal and then I became a conservative. And I would say when I was a liberal, by the way, to be clear, I was never voting Democrat. That's one of the biggest lies that the media always publishes. Like, she was a Democrat, and then one day she realized she could make more money as a Republican, which is such a nonsense, given the fact that if I wanted to make money, I would have leaned into being a leftist. I mean, the whole entire media loves the left.
Yeah.
I would have been on the cover of Vogue if I had said Black Lives Matter and here's why.
Yep.
So I definitely did not take the easy route there, but you know, I think that would probably be the biggest example of really having to fight, was just the way in which the media attempted and still attempts, but I think a lot is the Black America's kind of waking up to it, to turn Black people against me, which was, I wouldn't say hard, I would say it was very frustrating to realize that when people print things, people that read them just accept that it must therefore be true without actually even watching a clip in its context, without actually, and this still happens to this day, like people just want the information. A journalist has a lot of power. Candace said this, and it's something that I've never said, and they just believe it.
I was watching your hearing when you were, they used your words and they spun it and they made it seem like you were laughing at the mass shooter that wrote you in his letter. And I just want to take that moment right there. So paint me the picture of you being a young Black woman, being told what Black people are going through by many white people around them, and then they're taking your words, because they know everything's typed for the media, so they'll be able to quote it. They spin your words, they put it for you, and they say, swallow this, you said this. How do you not lose your mind and say disrespectful things? You lose your temper, you get into, no, you just sat there and I could tell, you know what it looked like? It looked like you were angry, but you sinned not, which I really loved that point of view. You were able to just dismantle them without any disrespectful tone. How long does it take a person to get to that capability? And how did you feel in that moment?
You know, it's funny that you started talking about the analogy of war, because I would say that in moments like that, I am never more focused or more clear when I realize that I'm under attack, right? And I think that's a part of adrenaline, where adrenaline can be very clarifying. And I just saw red and I recognized what it was, and I just pinpoint shot like a sniper. And I think that, yeah, it's the biggest part was just I was under attack and it wasn't fair. But I definitely didn't get to that point by any training. And I always tell people, wherever you want to go in life, make sure that you're leaning towards who you naturally are. And I have very much been this way since I was a kid. Like, my parents tell me stories all the time growing up that I was just kind of one of those precocious kids, and they would constantly have to like close the door and laugh because of what I was saying. Like, you just imagine like a 4-year-old reasoning with you, and, but you said this, and da 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 da. And so I think I've always been a person that pushes back against what I deem to be arbitrary authority. Like, I didn't like when my mom used to say growing up, do this because I said so. Like, that's something that I would instantly be pushing back at as a toddler, right? Because I'm just, what do you mean because you said so? That's not logical. I want an explanation. And I think that very much that is the media complex today. It's like, this is reality because I said so, which makes an enemy of me.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the reasons why I respect you so much is your ability to be so eloquent and well thought out, and you're able to make all your points. Like, in that moment when you sat there, you were able to take all the points that they were like saying and then make your case. And I just think that it's such a beautiful thing to watch, and such a wonderful thing for a woman like you to show an example for other women, and you truly are a role model for women, to show that you can be strong in your point of views and make your points clear, but also be, level-headed. You didn't need to cause a scene or anything like that to make your point.
Yeah, you stood on your business, bro.
Right.
Yeah. All the people like, what does she mean by that? I say that, they're like, oh, okay, I get it.
And there was someone, like one of the judges, when you spoke, he was for you. He sat back and he was like,
yeah, he gave you your time. Yeah, that's sick.
It was like,
Yeah, it was amazing.
I want to take a step back. When you were a liberal, why were you a liberal? Were you influenced by your surrounding, or was it your parents that influenced you? What influenced you into making that decision?
The entire ecosystem. I mean, the propaganda that we all grow up with. I'm so interested in what it takes to create a human mind, what elements it takes to create a human mind. And I think obviously the biggest elements, you obviously brought up family. My family didn't care about politics, so they were apolitical, which really just instigates how powerful any other influence was going to be, because I was starting at a zero, right?
And that's where they want you to be.
That's where they want you to be.
Yeah.
It's great to be apolitical, right?
Yeah, because you're not fighting against them.
Exactly. And so then your ideas are likely going to be seeded from the education system. You get into school, you're there 6 hours a day. What are they telling you? Well, if you're a Black American and you come out of school, or if you're a white American and you come out of school, you have a viewpoint about slavery, about the Republican Party being racist and backwards, that Democrats rescued Black people somehow, which is just so counter to what actual history is. It's almost stunning to think about that.
I thought Republicans did that.
Yeah, Republicans did. But in the school system, you take away this idea. If you want to wonder why Black people vote for droves and Democrats, it's because the textbooks make you think that LBJ, because he literally was the person who signed, the Civil Rights Act, but they don't contextualize that. They don't tell you that LBJ was an avowed racist. He was essentially forced to sign it because there were riots. He was angry about having to sign it and came up with a plan that he would, quote unquote, have those N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. And that plan was welfarism, the Great Society Act. You don't learn that. A Democrat signed the Civil Rights Bill and you got all of your rights. It's very, here are the villains, here are the heroes. So
they rewrote their story.
Yeah.
Genius.
It is genius.
You got to respect the move, right? My mom used to always say, think like a snake, be pure as a dove. Mm-hmm. So you got to know how deep they'll take it. And what they do is they'll beat the living crap out of you mentally, physically, emotionally. And then they'll say, we were the ones that took care of you. Right. And you'll be like, no. But if you say that many, many times in different variations, you'll somewhat be like, okay. It's kind of like when you're in a bad relationship. When somebody's like that you love will tell you the good things to confuse you, but his actions to everybody else will be like, bro, that guy doesn't love you. So, okay. You said that you were going there because of your ego system, and I love watching your debates. I honestly want you to be pregnant again just so I could see you debate. I truly, because dude, you're like, get over it. I have no time for this shit. And bro, I would pause it and just die of laughter and send it to all of my friends. I go, she needs to consistently be pregnant. Because you're just very straight to the point. But I have to play devil's advocate. When you see a young lady with, blue hair and she has her signs and she's saying things that are just regurgitated from somebody else, do you not have empathy and see that you were that human being? That she's doing the same thing. She's standing at the front lines trying to defend what she feels needs defense, and you just shatter them where they stand.
No, that's exactly what they need. They need a parent, right? That's the problem. I was a liberal, but I was never that. Like, right? Think about what those students are doing. This is an event they are not forced to attend. It is a ticketed event that's being held by Turning Point USA that is meant so that conservatives can finally hear their perspectives on these liberal totalitarian campuses that are just basically applauding Marxist principles all the time. They rarely get to hear a conservative speak. So these people are choosing to buy tickets to attend an event that someone that they hate is speaking at, right? Then they get in line and they stand up so they can say that they're a victim, that they're even standing at this debate, that I'm even there. Like, talk about victimizing yourself. This is completely ridiculous. And what's happened in this scenario is that we now live in a society where people don't believe in parenting. Yep. This is a weird thing where people now you went from like put them in timeout, went from like you're gonna get a spanking, which is my generation, at least my household. I got my butt whooped growing up.
Beat the brakes off your kids, bro. Beat the I told Belle, I said that. I go, listen. We ain't doing the American raising. My kids, I couldn't even get excited with my parents with a loud tone. If I was like, Mom, you wouldn't believe. She's like, who's?
What do you mean? I wasn't allowed to clap or snap in the morning. Okay, no clapping or snapping in the morning.
You think I'd ever be able to go like this to my dad? Oh my God, he'd disassemble me and put me back in his balls for like a couple more weeks. Just until I format the way he wants me to talk. But guess what? Like, you don't spare the rod. I talked about this in my last podcast. You don't spare the rod. The reason why the Bible says don't spare the rod is because if your parents are not going to discipline you, somebody else will, and their mindset.
Exactly.
So you were... Okay, so
it's absolutely bratty. It's an absurdity. There's nothing here that you victimized. You bought the ticket. You took that ticket, by the way, because my events are always sold out because conservatives are so desperate to hear people that represent their beliefs. You took that ticket and that seat away from somebody else so you could stand up here and say, what do you have to say about people that feel victimized by your presence?
Yeah.
It's like that is just so infuriating to me. And it tells me directly what kind of a parent you had, right? That you just can't mind your own business. And the reality is you're not victimized by my presence. You just need more attention. And you've been getting way too much attention for your every feeling. You look like a validated child, right? You've
Spoiled.
been validated. You've been affirmed in your gender and in your ideas. You just didn't get slapped up across the head like I did when I was growing up from my mom. I mean, I got whooped for things I didn't even know what I got whooped for. Afterwards, I'm like, I'm not even really sure what I did there.
Yeah.
Right?
But it made you rethink when you wanted to do something.
Right. And so I didn't have this privilege mentality of like, every time I have a feeling, everyone needs to listen to it,
Yeah.
We're paying for the trophies that are participating.
Yes, the participation
or like
trophies,
everybody wins. When you remove the loser, everybody feels like a winner. So they act like losers while acting like winners. It's a weird concept. I think the pendulum is coming back though. I think the children that are now feeling this are going to teach their children differently. But it's only people like you that are standing up and be like, none of this nonsense.
Like, I'm happy, by the way, just going back to your point about empathy, because I want to make it, if she actually was saying something, you know what I mean? There are kids, and those don't go viral, who will ask a question like, and actually one did. It was a young black woman, and she was saying, what do you have to say about someone like me? I've listened to your points. I agree with some. I don't agree with some. But I am obviously, I think she said, a part of the LGBTQ community. And we had a great back and forth because there was nothing bratty. She actually had a question. She wanted to hear what I had to say. But you're not going to take time away from this event and these kids that are here so that you can be seen and be heard. Get out of my face and get out of this event and let people actually engage in this event in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
So, okay. I don't know how you were raised. Was your mom very heavy-handed, but did she ever show like love and compassion to you?
Yeah. My mom was heavy-handed if we were doing something wrong. We were very well-behaved kids.
Yeah.
I had the kind of mom that would pinch us and she would whisper in our ear. If we even piped up at a restaurant, she'd be like, when we get home, I'm going to whip your ass.
Do you ever get one of these?
Oh gosh, the pinches.
This right here? If any Middle Easterns, they just tucked in real quick when they saw this. You don't even have to say anything. She'll just see me from across the room like this, and it's just... Wait till we get home. And I'm like, oh man. Dude, she's beat me up in church, dog. I
just get the look in the finger. My mom liked to get down. No, I love when she put her finger in my face. She didn't care where we were. Where we were. We never threw fits. And if
never.
Little peep, it was on site, right there.
Everyone would say we were the best behaved kids because of that. We were just, we understood that we needed to be well behaved or else we were going to get into trouble.
It's your parent, My mom always said, too many parents now are trying to be the friend. And my mom always said, she goes, I'm not your friend. There will come a time when, you're older and we build that friendship with each other, in which I have that with my mom now. But when you're a child, you need an authority figure to tell you what's right. As a child, you don't know what's best for you.
Yeah. Also, I've anyone who's seen me and my mom and dad were best friends. I even got a place right next to them because I just can't stop being with. After this, I'm going straight to them. They are my kings and queens, but I never lost that they're above me. So I think what happens is the government says your parents don't know shit, right? They were lied to. And then when you lose that respect for your parents, what they don't understand is that you'll start losing respect for yourself. And it trickles down. So how do we so we've tried the heavy-handed, right? And I feel like it is waking up a lot of people, but how is there a tactic that we could do it out of love? I haven't seen it online where we're sitting down, because when I see these people standing up and talking about identity issues or their background issues or wherever their viewpoints are, I have so much empathy, because I'm like, damn, you're broken and you're lost, and everybody keeps pushing you to hell's fire. And no one's giving you any real love. When I'll give you an example of friends. If you have friends that are always telling you, Candace, dude, you're killing it, bro. The way you punched that little kid in the face, dog, he deserved it. You're like, no. You should probably tell him hey, dude, I love what you said, but you shouldn't punch that kid in the face. You have to have somebody give you the real shit. You shouldn't do that. And I feel like now, because of the media, especially with the algorithm, they're only feeding things for your ego. And it's causing a separation. So how do we teach them how to love? Because I feel like the separation is us really never being able to see it from their point of view.
I disagree with that, I would have to say. I disagree with the premise. I don't think that it's not seeing things from their point of view. I think actually the entire world is bending down to see things from their point of view. We can't even misgender someone on YouTube. Seeing things from their point of view is being blared out cultural messaging. No matter how they feel, they have to be affirmed, right? That is actually the culture. They're being affirmed in the classrooms. That's why they're bratty. It's actually, we're suffering from too much love, too much coddling, too much with their hand being held. So if the pendulum is going to swing back, it needs to be with more aggression, in my view, right? If you're going to even that out, they need a moment that just smacks them in the face, and it's you're not that special. You're actually not that special. Nothing about your life, to me, is enviable. You're not going to use words to try to silence conversation by calling this homophobia. There's so many different words. This is sexism, chauvinism, this is homophobia, feminism, whatever it is. So I very much disagree with the premise that these people need love. I think what's been happening is that they have the wrong idea of what love is. And in my view, love is discipline. Love is discipline. I think it's important because you want people to do well in life. And so the people that are affirming them, like you just said, are setting them down a path of absolute failure. This is why these kids end up, they come out of college, they have a useless degree in gender studies, and they don't even know who to be angry at when they can't get a job. And so they blame the white man, the rich man, the tall man. It's because of racial prejudice. It's because women can't get, it's because literally you have done nothing of value in your life. Nothing and value at all, right? The world lied to you, the teachers lied to you, your mom lied to you, your dad lied to you. So I'm just going to stand up here and be the truth. And
great counterpoint. Honestly, that was an amazing counterpoint. I now agree with you, because you're right. From seeing it from that point of view, I always just want to not offend, because
stop that.
It's hard, because I try to mimic Christ, right? Christ always offended, but he never wanted to offend them. He just said truth.
I don't want to. Yeah. The truth is offensive now, right? Yeah. You're a man. No, I'm wearing a dress. You know what I'm saying? Literally, the truth is now considered offense.
That was our first tie together. Logan asked me on Impulsive. He goes, Harry Styles is wearing a dress. He goes, isn't that manly? And this is, I was on the podcast for maybe a week or two. I'm very new to the podcast. So I just go, manly? I don't think that's manly at all. And I made jokes. I go, when you go to a department, you don't go, I really want a nice dress. And they go, yeah, it's in the men's department. They go in the women's department. I got reamed for that. But me and you tied in because you said the same thing. And I said, who's that? Like that. Because I was like, yeah, who is that? Who's saying that? And you tweeted it out. You're like, tell your friend who's irrelevant that I'm so sad. I was like, no, we're on the same side. Like I was on your side, and I was like, oh fuck, I'll apologize to her later about that. So I wanted to apologize.
No, it wasn't you.
It was me. It was me.
No, it was another person that was next to him.
Oh, you were talking about Mike?
Yeah.
This whole
Yeah,
time.
'cause
And
he's
this
bro.
whole time you thought she was talking about you, she's talking about Mike?
Yes, bro.
Yeah, because he
That's
said,
so funny.
I remember watching this clip, and he didn't just say like, "Oh, who's that in a dress?" He said it was actually regarding BLM, and he was on his like pro BLM pitch, Logan Paul, and he basically was saying that my perspectives on it, I don't know what he was saying, but essentially he was very pro BLM, and they were trying to say that I was deranged for being a black person who held a different viewpoint. And yeah, I tweeted like, what are you even talking about here? And I was like, I don't know who your friend is.
For years, I'm walking
Yeah.
around, be like, don't get out of bounds, bro.
No, it wasn't
Don't
you.
get out of bounds. So this is my point of view, right? I don't think it's manly if a man wears a dress. Now, if a man came up to me and is like, I think it's manly to wear a dress, I would say, okay. I don't need to argue with it. So I don't understand that. Like a lot of people want to stand up for what they believe in, but as soon as I speak about what I believe in, it's wrong.
Yeah, because they're lying.
It's Valentine's Day, and so I feel romantic, and I wrote a poem for you guys. You want to hear it? Roses are red, violets are blue. Trim your balls, and your date will thank us too. What's up, fellas? Valentine's Day is around the corner. Manscaped got the remedy that the love doctor ordered. His prescription? Let me tell you. It's the new Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, designed to elevate your grooming game and shine like the little heartthrob you are. A little personal experience about Manscaped to me. One, I could not believe how excellent it is at not cutting. The sensitive guy, man. Nothing's worse than going on a date and then trying to stretch and pretend like you're not trying to move your boxers around your balls because you're chafing. You don't want that, bro. You want to focus on the girl that you have right in front of you. So do yourself a favor. Get Manscaped and stop playing games with your balls, bro. That ain't something you play with. Well, you know what I mean. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. With our exclusive offer, go to manscaped.com and snag yourself 20% off plus free shipping. Use the code GEORGE. But I just don't get that. How do we get to a friendly argument? Like, how do I get to somebody that has these viewpoints and be like, dude, I get it. You think that wearing a dress on a cover of a magazine or these men acting like women in movies and Cat Williams was talking about this. Everybody has their own points of views, but I've never in my life ever heard somebody else's point of views and got so upset that I was like, no, they need to see it from my point of view. I think that's what makes the world beautiful, bro. Even the people that I truly don't even agree with, at least we could get on a common ground and be like, yo, I don't agree with you, but could you at least respect my opinion?
Actually, if we had an agreement that, if we were respectful in that way, I feel like then the school system wouldn't be so messed up the way that it is, because then we would respect the fact that there are two sides and one side wouldn't only be taught, right? Both sides would be taught, and then the students would be able to make their decision as to where they want to go.
Right.
But that's not the case, right?
Well, the reason that people get upset, just to kind of answer your question of why that is, you only get upset when you're lying, right? The lie hates hearing the truth, always. So if you say something that is so obviously a lie, that a man dressing up as a woman is manly, you're going to be upset when someone says, no, that's obviously not manly. That's not an example of masculinity to cosplay as a woman.
Yeah.
And so they then turn into Marxists. They then turn into George Orwell's 1984, and they're like, I have to force you to not believe your own eyes, right? And they get tremendously defensive because they've been exposed as a liar, right? Not because these are two different ideas, right? It's not like when you're not lying and you're like, oh, I think the white couch looks better to the left. Oh, really? I think the couch looks better to the right. It's a difference in opinion, right? But when you're outright lying, it comes with anger and it comes with defensiveness. So in that moment, which I didn't see, if Logan Paul is literally saying something that is so absurd and so untrue, if he actually thought that wearing a dress was manly, he would do it. I say, dude, 100%, you should do it. You should wear a dress tomorrow. That's what I would have said. You should wear a dress tomorrow. You don't want to do that. Was he going to say, I don't want to be manly? Is he going to say that? I don't want to be manly? No, because he knew, I think some of his ideas have shifted over the years because those lies are no longer serving him as he's getting more into boxing and MMA, and that's like stuff that is just, it's weak. It would be cool if he admitted now, which I'm totally fine for people to transform over the years. I think he probably kowtowed to leftist pressure when he took the BLM stance and took all of the Marxist stances going on. But you want to be a man? F the dress, apologize for lying, right? Because people listen to you, right? And when you say stuff like that, when men lie, it renders them weaker. Men should never lie. It's better to say nothing than to allow a lie to come from your lips.
Amen. I believe that.
Yeah.
Dude, the thing that I don't like is when you lie. To me, you're an empty vessel. Because if you can't stand on your word, then who are you as a human being?
Yeah.
Over exaggerating to tell a story or a joke, totally fine. But like for you to stand on your business, but you know your business isn't legitimate, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Taking it away from that, how did you resurface? Like, was it like a educational? Like, how did you in your environment get out? Right? Because if your environment is all this type of situation, how do you guide somebody that's in your footsteps out of the ecosystem to educate themselves in the proper way?
Yeah. I started reading books, not the textbooks that were handed to me, not the assigned readings. It was just a moment that made me really curious. And it was, because I very much liked culture. I knew, obviously, that Donald Trump was very well loved in culture before he ever ran for president. It was sort of a symbol of success. If you listen to rap songs or music, even Beyonce and Jay-Z sipping poolside at Mar-a-Lago, he was the symbol of success in Black America. So it was very strange to me when he ran, and I wasn't going to vote for him, when he came on the escalator, and then suddenly the media was saying he was a racist and that he was going to put Black people back in chains. I mean, the rhetoric was insane. And so that just piqued my curiosity, where I was like, okay, if this was the truth, didn't you guys just give him a show for decades? This guy has been on TV. He's been in our face. Why are you just telling us now that these are his perspectives? Why did you ever platform him? So that was just too obvious of a switch up. And I had just being curious, watched him give a live speech in Dimondale, Michigan, where he was talking about Black America, and he was basically, the pitch was, look at your communities, look at the rates of whatever's going on in your communities. Why don't you just try something new? Take a chance on me, right? The Democrats obviously haven't done anything for you. Just take a chance on me. And I remember watching it and thinking, all right, cool enough pitch. Like, I wasn't gonna vote for him still, but I was like, that's a solid pitch. Just try something different.
It piques your curiosity.
Yeah, and then I watched the media report on that speech in real time, the way that they lied. He faked tears from like Black Don Lemon type people on TV.
Wow.
He's looking at Black and people in the face and he's saying, you're poor, your communities are this. Like, he's a racist. And that moment just changed everything for me. I realized this is full on propaganda.
So that was your turning point, was you investigating in Donald Trump's ideas?
Yeah, that was the wake up moment for me that, the media really is just actually evil, really.
It's bought.
It's bought, it's paid for. These people are actors. Suddenly I was really able to recognize the performance of it all. The fake tears, oh my God, the rhetoric. And honestly, it was very hard to go through. I always say that I suffered a bit after, because it was like having your whole world turned upside down. Like, to realize you were so wrong. Like, you have to go through a death of an ego, right? Because what if you were like, I'm not talking to you because you're a racist and blah, 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 because you believe the media hype. But it kind of shattered my world as I knew it. And I decided to kind of quietly for a year just do some studying. And, I really dove into Thomas Sowell, which he made the economic arguments. He never was left or right per se, but he definitely is a free market capitalist, and he made very sound economic arguments of how could I ever accept anything the Democrats are doing. And yeah, I just kind of went down a dark hole of reading so much Thomas Sowell, Shelby Steele, because I wanted to start with the Uncle Toms and the Coons, the people that I instantly thought were Uncle Toms and Coons because they were Black and conservative. And joke's on me. Now that's the stuff that I get called.
That's crazy to go from fighting against them to aligning with them.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like you were kind of, like dying to your old self in a sense?
Yeah.
Like, for that year, you left yourself behind?
Yeah, I went through I would say shock, and then I was educated, and then I was angry at how evil, to realize what the Democrats have done to Black America, how they have used the school system, how they have encouraged us to burn down our own neighborhoods via Marxist principles, and causing people to flee our neighborhoods after BLM, which I spoke out against the entire time. I was really angry because I realized it's just a modern slave plantation. You're doing all the same stuff. You're breaking down our families. You are making sure that we aren't educated. I mean, the percentage of Black boys and girls that can read in America right now is shocking, right? And you've largely gotten away with it. And then that empowered me to say, I want to be a voice and speak out against it.
How do you feel about your culture and what they do with music?
I think it's a part of it. It's a part, and I've talked about this on my show. Who owns these record label companies? Who signs a Sexy Red? You can go out and you can get any artist in the world based on their talent. Why is it that when you come to Black America, you want to platform someone like Sexy Red, when it used to be you platform people like Lauryn Hill? This is intentional. This is intentional because, as Confucius said, Chinese philosopher said that, what is in your ears will eventually be what surrounds you, right? Music is very powerful.
Yeah.
I heard a saying that music doesn't need an invitation to your soul. It
That's
goes
a great way of
straight
saying
into
it. Yeah, and
goes straight in. You are who you hang out with, but if you're just listening to it all the time, and I always got confused. I could never have said it because I'm not Black, but if I had an Assyrian culture, and all they did was make money off of belittling my people, I would not pay money for it. I'd be like, yo, what are you doing? You switch sides on us. Like, why would you make it out, quote, and then shit where you came from? Well, why don't you come grab us and like build us out? Do you ever get scared of speaking the way you speak?
No. I feel very comfortable speaking the way I speak because I'm Team God, right? So, yeah, if God has you, who can be against you? You know what I mean?
Amen.
And so, yeah, I am very confident in what I say, and I take, obviously, a beating from the artists who I believe, just like you said, have turned their back on Black America, because I don't fault these artists. Like, I grew up listening to Jay-Z. I would say Jay-Z and Kanye probably had the biggest influence on me, and there's a lot in Jay-Z's music that I'm so grateful for because he made it clear on how to move in a business room, I would say.
Yeah.
So many of his lyrics talking about, this is how I think about it when they want me to do their shows. Like, how are they benefiting off of me, my brand? He's thinking like a boss. But then he gets up on stage and him and his wife tell people to vote for Hillary Clinton. I know Jay-Z is smart enough to know that's wrong. I know he's smart enough to know that's wrong because I listened to the DNA of his music. So if you got out, why don't you tell other people how to get out? And that's when I lost respect for Jay-Z, and it is what made me gain more respect for Kanye, because he is willing to say stuff that makes him unfavorable in Hollywood, where I think Jay-Z really cares about what Hollywood thinks about him. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Jay-Z, unbelievably talented, can't deny it. Beyonce, unbelievably
Absolutely.
talented, can't deny it. Kanye West, I would say a genius, can't deny it. Unfortunately, you stood on someone who is very up and down with what he says. Does that not, like, if I had a teammate that just kept going back and forth, it's kind of hard to like stand out. And like, let me give you an example. My mom and dad would come up to me and they'd be like, hey, if you're voting for Trump, don't talk about that. And I was like, damn, we got to a place where it's hard to even voice what you're voting for or what you're siding with. And then I realized that my mom was trying to teach me a lesson. Be careful on who you stamp your name on, because now how they act or how they portray themselves or any of that is going to reflect you, because people are going to be like, well, you signed off on this man. So how do you sign off on a man who stands on a car and says, yo, Jesus is coming, you got to be about good things, all this stuff, but then I'm a sick fuck, I like a quick fuck the next day. You could see when Kanye has his eyes on Christ, and then you could see it when he's like, oh, I need to get these numbers up or stuff like that.
So I think the single most important thing that Kanye has told about himself publicly, which weighs into my mind when he makes music like that, is that he's addicted to pornography. He's talked about that. It's a huge societal ill. Like, it's not something that men normally talk about, like being addicted to pornography, being addicted to sex, talking about how he felt like he was introduced to pornography too early, right? And so when, in my view, I think that is an addiction in the battle that lives with him, and has come out in his music at certain times. I can't listen to that music. I do not listen to that music. I do not.
But doesn't that make it worse if you don't mind me asking?
No, but I'm very honest about the fact that I don't listen to pornographic lyrics.
No, not you. But like,
I can't listen to pornographic.
Come on, Candace, what are you doing?
And it's funny because it means that I've really raised my frequency because I can't hear it. It makes me cringe. I used to listen to it when I was young. It didn't impact me.
But now you woke up,
but
and you're
now
like,
that I've
I
woken
can hear
up,
the programming.
and I've realized how important it is what you put into your ears. I quite literally cannot listen to that that kind of music. It does something to my soul.
But so my question is, now that you know that, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking? You're young enough for me to ask that.
34. You
34.
can always ask me. I don't live by
Okay.
that rule. If I'm 65, I'll be like, I'm 65.
So you're 34 years old, but you seem to be like, from my POV of just meeting you, but seems like if you learn it, I got it, move on. So how could you work alongside somebody who just said, hey, I'm addicted to pornography. It ruined my marriage. It ruined.
That's brave.
But then he goes back to teaching kids to do that shit.
That's how addiction works. Right. So for
But
me,
it's different.
I'm not,
It's different
if I was
you're sitting in the
promoting,
studio for hours. You know
No.
what I mean?
But
That's
listen,
like days of work.
This is a conversation you got to have with Kanye. I don't listen to that music. I don't promote that music. And if I'm standing next to Kanye for something that he is saying and being honest about, I am co-signing what he is saying and doing.
Got
so
it.
when he put on the MAGA hat, it was a very significant moment for Black America.
Huge.
You do not have to vote Democrat.
He lost a
right?
lot of fans
He
doing that.
lost so many fans for saying that.
But he gained too, so that's good.
Right. And so that never been done. You never could have seen that. Rappers just know, even if they're saying it privately that they like Trump, they would have never, ever, ever said that and been honest about that until Kanye took all of the bullets for being like, you have another option, Black America. And I commend that bravery.
Got it.
Right. If I was sitting next to him or in that video, then you could talk to me about that.
Yeah.
Candace, do you accept? No, I don't like that kind of music at all.
So you're
But that
good at
is
picking and
not-
choosing what-
Well, yeah, and not, I mean, do you know his music? The majority of his, like when we're talking about, you know, all the way from his early days all through now, like, yes, he has a lot of, especially on this recent album, there's one song that's really great, but I can't listen to it because the lyrics are too pornographic. For me, personally, Carnival is just way too pornographic. People can take that if they want to, but on me, in terms of what I talk about on my platform, I'm not going to promote, you know, pornography. I tell people that what you put in your ears is what you will put in your heart. But I also know that if I was me when I was 15, I wouldn't be listening to Candace at 34 because I was listening to that music, you know?
Got it.
So
Yeah.
people are complicated. They're absolutely complicated, but I can't be meant to answer for Kanye's addictions, Kanye's afflictions, Kanye's convictions, because I'm not Ye.
Got it.
You know?
Hold the phone. You're not Ye?
I'm not Ye. I'm sorry.
No,
this
no.
interview is not going to go as viral as anticipated because I am not Ye.
No, honestly, it's we're getting out what we need. Can I get my Celsius over there? I don't want to just get, oh, perfect. Thank you.
Is that a smooth ad plug right there?
Can I get Celsius?
Oh, I'm so thirsty. Can somebody get me a Celsius?
Do you want one?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I've actually never had one.
Really?
Yeah. Is that like all the biz? Like,
Yeah.
is that like
Would you taste it right? Oh, they're not cold. But would you taste it right?
We
now?
can
Yeah,
get
I
her a
would,
cup
of
of
course.
ice.
It's
in
not.
that-
It's not alcohol, right? I don't
No,
drink.
No.
It's just caffeine.
Hey, could you grab a cup of ice? It's in the room right next door. We know this whole area by now.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, we live here now.
Kind of detouring from that. So circling back, you were liberal, got educated, read books, saw Trump, realized that the media is manipulating his words, woke up, died to yourself, had to recreate who you are to teach people to not walk in the same footsteps that you did. What is the hardest part of standing up for what you believe in, and how could somebody because I don't want to be sexist when I say this, but I feel like it's very hard for a Black female to go out and speak passionately without so many critics speaking on her. How did you beat this? Who are you looking up to? What philosophy were you picking from?
I always say to people, I'm just my granddaddy's girl. You know, my granddad was and he was not political at all, super conservative, believed in discipline, was extremely faithful. We had to read the Bible every morning. He would make us a big Southern breakfast and we had to read Bible verses. And
It's beautiful.
I'm very much like him. And my granddad was he passed away 3 years ago now. But he was just very stubborn, you know? Like, you were never going to come to granddad and tell him about his family and tell him about his life, you know? And I think that there was just a genetic component where, for me, once I know this is how I'm living, this is what I believe to be true, you're not going to bully me into some BS. You're not going to bully me into thinking that a man should be wearing a dress. It's so absurd and so ridiculous. Why would I care? Why would I care about little commentators calling me homophobic or calling me sexist or a self-hating Black person or anti-Semitic? You can't tell me those things because they're simply not true. I'm not any of those things. I'm anti-stupid. And there's a lot of stupidity going on right now, right?
Love that.
And yeah, so it doesn't impact me. And then I became 10 times stronger when I got married and I had kids. I've never been more secure in who I am and who I am not than when I made the decision to start a family.
Has motherhood changed you in any way when it comes to the way you speak?
No, it's actually fortified me more. And I was looking forward to, I think it was Ali Stuckey. I really like her. She has a podcast called Relatable. And I think after she gave birth, no, it might have been Lila Rose, actually. And she was talking about how motherhood, softened her, because you start seeing people as their kids. And they were saying, I really hope AOC actually has kids because it will change her. And I was looking forward to when I was pregnant, I'm going to be softened and communicate with more compassion. And actually it hardened me.
Well,
more mama
get me
bear.
Ben Shapiro now.
Yeah. Because now you want to protect them and you're
the
like,
mama
these
bear
poor-
Mama bear
Yeah.
vibes before you even have that.
Right.
But question, did you ever think about your children before they even existed?
Oh, yeah.
We do that all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like everything we do, they'll look up to that. I'll say this because I don't care, but it's scary, but I'm going to mention it. But I always tell her, I go, if I die, never, ever, ever be sad. Because if I got killed for speaking up for what I believe in, just know we're in heaven, we're celebrating. So I always act as if, God forbid, we get to a point in the world where my life is in jeopardy. And the only things my kids have to raise them with is the tapes that I speak on. So I really put everything into this. Like if I'm, God forbid, this is how I'm going to raise my kids. And so every move I make is like, hey, be careful. Your kid's going to see that. And I feel like people should think this way because it's taken me out of a lot of stupid decisions. Because when you're thinking, oh, it's just me, I'm young, then you're like, oh, I don't care. But if you're like, no, I got to make sure that my mom's not embarrassed and my kids are not going to be embarrassed. You could use it for a good thing.
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. And I'm really not trying to drag him at all, but that is a very, I think, powerful statement because think about that. So Logan's going to get married, right? His kids will see what he said. Would you stand on that to your son, that it's manly to go out and wear a dress? Would you be like, yeah, I'm so proud of you, go out the door and wear a dress as a man? These are the things that you have to think about. You're right. That's why it's so important to tell the truth. And for me, before I had children, I dreamed of what kind of parent I wanted to be. And then when I had children, the mama bear came out. And for people that don't know, we don't just use that phrase, oh, mama bear. It's a phenomenon, what actually happens in the wild and in nature with a mother bear. So the papa bear, if you will, when they want to have sex with the mama bear, they can't if she doesn't go into heat if she's nursing. That's a thing that's all mammals. If you're nursing, you don't go into heat.
No, I deal with it all the time.
Right? And so what happens is he realizes if I kill the cubs, right, you'll go back into heat so we can have sex. Right?
No, they don't do that.
This is 100% true.
They don't do
This is
that.
100% true. 100% true.
Wait, that's crazy.
So
Yo,
they'll
they
start,
really wanna smash.
Right? So they really.
That's crazy.
Papa Bear's wild, right?
Whoa. From now on, that's my nickname, bro.
So they'll attack the cubs and try to kill the cubs. And the mama bear will fight to her death. You got to see the footage. Go look on YouTube of what she will do for her kids, right? And many times wins, right? Or he goes off or whatever because it unlocks. It's like, you're about to kill my cubs. That's what the mama bear, I just wanted to state that so people know. You can go on the internet and look that up. I'm saying she was true. It's wild. It's incredible. That was unlocked in me when I realized the poison pill that we are giving children in society because we have a lot of weak men and we have a lot of, actually, I wouldn't say weak men. What we're living in right now isn't a patriarchy, it's a matriarchy, right? We have a lot of weak men and a bunch of women who are able to manipulate these men into silence or manipulate them to say things that aren't true. And they're running the school systems, women are running the school systems where it's just full pollution. And it made me stronger and more fortified, and I'm just going to keep saying the truth and keep saying the truth.
Yeah,
As
for
you
your
should.
kids,
As you should. What flavor would you like, by the way?
Oh, I think they got me. Oh shoot, I'm going to try this. This is great.
We have
There's
orange
a mango
too.
passion
Which
fruit
one?
or tropical vibe.
I'm a tropical vibe. My family's from St. Thomas.
Okay.
Yeah, some of my family's from St.
Beautiful.
Thomas. My grandma was from St. Thomas. Yeah, so this feels like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Tropical
like
vibes.
this will fit with you.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
And so now with your husband, do you feel like when you met him, where were you at in your career when you met your husband? And do you feel like he had any influence over your points of views and your growth?
My growth, absolutely. Every day in marriage, I am blessed that I am married to the most wonderful man in the world. No offense.
Great name.
He is, great name. Same name
Only
as
sexy
you.
men can be named George.
I'll tell my son that, who's named after.
Dude, I'm trying to get her to name it. She won't.
He
I
was
did.
George the Third.
Come on, how hard is
I love
that?
it. I like George the
George
Third.
Janko
I'm all
the
into
Third.
it.
Bro,
Stop it.
if you say it loud enough, all bears get heated up. You don't even need to kill the. You don't even need to kill the cubs.
Okay, sorry, please continue.
So sorry.
Yeah, no, but no, that's that. Like, yeah. So I got married to my husband, and from the day that we laid eyes on each other, it took us 18 days to get engaged.
I was about to say it's
Really?
quick, right? 2 weeks.
Crazy story. Yeah, totally crazy story. God thing without question.
Wow.
And the way that it's changed me is my husband is incredibly faithful. It also, like I said, added to just my security. It's like there's nothing the world can do that's going to impact this, right? So that there's constantly this threat when you're on your own. That we can pull this and your life will be over, your life will be canceled. When your family, when your home is in order, you have everything.
You feel safe.
Yeah,
the
you have
foundation of
everything.
life.
It means there's nothing that can happen that you can take from me.
Yep.
Because we have everything.
Amen. And I pray that goes only stronger and it builds. And your bloodline gets stronger. And there's just a bunch of OCs just running around, just screaming at people, be like, you're a liar.
And so, how does he?
Quick,
Oh yeah.
I don't know if this is supporting. I think they're a sponsor because they've got some Celsius, but I'm going to try it. So if you are a sponsor and it's bad, unfortunately, I always tell the truth.
Let's go. Let's go. It
This
goes
could
from
be
that to like
really
a different
bad.
question.
Right,
You
yeah.
just got
right. If this randomly gets